In life, there's pivotal moments where you really have to stop and self-reflect and really think about what kind of person are you? And today I entered into this moral conundrum as I looked myself in the mirror after brushing my teeth. I stared into my soul and I thought, am I really the kind of lowlife that would take pleasure in dancing on the grave of something? And the answer is a resounding yes when it comes to the Halo TV show. If the world looked a little bit brighter today, it's because news broke that the Halo series was cancelled after its second season, and even God was smiling, so he parted all of the rain and just gave us sunshine. This is absolutely a finger-wagging moment for sure here. The Halo series is one that I've talked about a few times. I think I've made 3 videos on it. When it was first announced, a lot of the people behind the show were bragging about how they never played the games because it's like beneath them. They wanted to do their own thing and whatever. Just taking some level of pride in their ignorance on the property that they were supposed to be adapting. It really felt like they just looked down on the property, just fucking spitting on it and beef stewing it like, oh, we're adapting a video game, yucky, but don't worry, we know best. So we're gonna make something actually good here for you stupid nerds. And I went into season 1 with an open mind, as I always do, but it was just bad. It was so shitty, in fact, that it kind of got the nickname Master Cheeks, because Master Chief in the show had his bare butt cheeks out so many times and almost was never spotted wearing his armor or helmet or anything. The man is a super soldier that's always dressed for spring break, and it wasn't a good series at all, and it's not my biggest complaint with him not being the one-to-one carbon copy of this video game counterpart. I'm fine if you want to feed me the vegetables like, hey, we need to flesh out Master Chief a little bit here so he's going to be out of his armor occasionally. That's okay as long as you make it meaningful. It just wasn't in the show. I'm going to hit you with the cold water right now. No one wants to watch Master Chief fuck. And no one wants to watch Cortana watch Master Chief fuck. They turned her into a cuck. No one wants to see that. If you're adapting a beloved series like Halo, you're going to be getting fans going into it, and no fan wants to watch that. You're not going to be hooking an audience that's unfamiliar with Halo, at least not on a big scale. And even if that was the goal, Season 1 truly failed at that because it was just bad in its own right. It's not just a bad Halo show, it was a bad show. From top to bottom, it was a bad season. A couple of decent moments with a few fights, like the final episode actually was the best episode of the season, and it's because fucking Master Chief gets brain jacked into just being the Master Chief from the games briefly, where that's the only time things actually worked pretty well. The rest of the series was just dog shit. It focused on things nobody cares about. It told a story that had no real depth or intrigue to it whatsoever. It was so flat and lame. By the time season 1 finished, most people had either dropped it or completely wrote it off and just praying with fingers crossed that a season 2 wouldn't come. But unfortunately, there was come. I don't know who at Paramount Plus convinced the higher-ups that it was a good idea to double dip here and try and make a season 2 out of this train wreck. Again, most of the audience had already dropped it. There wasn't a lot of interest. People weren't like fucking biting at their nails, scratching at their neck, hyperventilating, salivating for another season of this dog shit. Yet someone convinced them that it was worth investing for a second season, so they did. It's like when the studio execs were blindsided by memes and thought that Morbius was actually a superstar, like a cinema darling. So they actually re-released Morbius only for it to flop again. Like, that's kind of what happened here with Halo Season 2. For some reason, they thought that this time around it might do well, and it still didn't. Now, as I mentioned when I talk about this, it did start off a little better. And there definitely were better moments in Season 2 than Season 1. Like, overall, it was an improvement. Season 2 got new staff on board, from what I read, that actually seemed to care a little bit more about the property, and they introduced a new character that was already an established character in Halo lore. Thank God. They brought in a character and tried to keep it true to how he was in the lore. That character was Ackerson. And the actor who was portraying this character apparently is an avid Halo player. So he brought a renewed energy to that role, which did help, but the show was truly still directionless. It was still a fucking mess. So they started to do the exact same sins as season 1, where they started focusing on shit no one cares about. I don't know why, because they actually started to bring all of those characters from the little side quests that everyone would snooze through into like the bigger scope of season 2. Like they started to bring all the characters together, only to then still once again put an emphasis on the shit no one cares about. Like the Kwa Han storyline and all of that. And they also brought back McKee, which I'm positive none of you remember any of these characters' names, so I'll explain. McKee was the human covenant that Master Chief fucks. Like, she and him get together and they share this romance that really comes out of nowhere. There's no fucking chemistry there at all. So they had sex in season 1, and she died at the end of season 1, only to be brought back in season 2, and once again reignite the worst romance plot television has ever seen. Fucking CW productions do better romance than the Halo series. I don't even know why they tried to fucking shoehorn this in there. I'm not here to just re-review Halo as a series again. I will say though, I really do think Master Chief's actor here, Pablo Schreiber, I can't remember how you say his name. I really do think he could have been a good Master Chief if he just had better material to fucking work with. Like, there are some moments in season 2 that I thought could have been great, and there were some moments that were pretty decent, like the flood, for example. But none of it leads to the show being good. Again, Halo Season 2 is better than Halo Season 1, but that's like saying poop is better than shit. I've used that expression before, but that's really what it feels like in this series. I don't know why they would take a property like Halo and transform it into something that's completely unrecognizable from what it's borrowing from. There's no winning in that scenario. And this announcement that it's canceled after 2 seasons should really send a strong message to every other studio out there that does shit like this, because it's not exclusive to just Halo. We've seen it happen with, like, The Witcher, for example. This isn't uncommon, but I don't know why it's ever something that gets considered. Like, hey, we want to make this beloved property into a television show. Let's make sure everyone who works on it has never even heard of this property, and we'll wing it. Now, I'm sure we know what's best for those fans, and they're going to love it, and they'll appreciate it. They'll pat us on the ass. They'll suck our butts out. They're going to really love it. And then you have shows like Halo. A very expensive pill to swallow when you have to cancel because everyone hated it. It's a lesson that shouldn't even need to be learned. It should just be common sense. Like, you can just look at other shows that are successful at this kind of shit, like The Last of Us show, or even more recently, Fallout, where you have the property being adapted to a show, and it's not one-to-one. Both those shows took very different directions, but it was still very recognizable in the property they were adapting, and they also had people on board that were very familiar with the property they were adapting. Thus, they were able to create something that was good for both fans and people who have never even played or heard of the games. I don't know why studios can't see the success of shows like Fallout and Last of Us and just be like, oh, okay, so that's how we should do it going forward. I don't know how we still end up with shit like Halo. I also can't help but mention the chutzpah here that even in the midst of canceling Halo with Paramount Plus, they are still trying to shop it around for another service that will pay for it to bring another season. The fucking chutzpah to think that somehow this stinker is worth a 3rd season, like another streaming service taking the chance and financing another one of these, is crazy. Like, they are huffing their own farts and are getting delusional off it, getting loopy from it. How? It's a clear message here that no one wants to watch more of this show. You have a couple of decent things in there, like the flood at the end or the final episode of season 1, but you are showcasing, you had 2 chances now, you are showcasing that you cannot make a good Halo show. So why the fuck would anyone else want to take a chance with this team? It doesn't make sense to me that they would still want to try and find a buyer for it. And what's also even more sad and pathetic is that I'm pretty confident that there will be some sucker that's going to do this. Someone's going to take the bait, hook, line, and sinker, and they're going to pump a ton of money into this, and they're going to make a big season 3 of Halo, and again, it will fucking flop. I'm just going to go ahead and put that prediction out there right now. I bet someone will actually buy this and deliver a season 3. And I guess we'll see how it goes from there. But it shouldn't be getting a season 3. I don't know how in Hollywood you can just continuously fail upwards. And it's not just Hollywood, actually. It's so much of the upper echelon of, like, tech and anything. Like, fucking John Rizzitiello, the guy who failed at EA and then failed at Unity and continues to just find himself in these big positions. It's just once you reach a certain level of power in those kind of industries, you just can't fail downwards like everywhere else. In those industries, it's only upwards. Like, oh, you delivered 2 huge flops for Halo and everyone hated it? Well, come on board. Do you want to be CEO of Amazon? Like, you're more than qualified. Like, it's unreal. So I really do think that it will get that Season 3 bought from another platform. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this because it is a good thing that it got canceled. This should be a message for every studio going forward looking to do adaptations that you should at least be somewhat faithful to the property you're adapting instead of being outwardly shitting on it. So yeah, anyway, that's about it. So yeah.